Hello, I'm Kamali, taking you through some of the things people are talking about and some of the stuff they're sharing around the world on NewsFeed today. Well, I heard someone who's used social media to change her part of the world decided that she's now quitting it.
Twitter today is being used by the same governments that we spoke against.
Why Human Rights Watch fears that Russia has given a green light to domestic abuse. You'll have heard of the Blue Mosque in Istanbul. Well, we'll show you the green one in central Turkey. And animals doing stuff, this time they're preparing for All Hallows Eve, apparently. Now, top of the newsfeed, Manal al Sharif. She's a human rights activist from Saudi Arabia who, along with others, drove the campaign to make the Saudi patriarchy give women there the right to drive. But in doing so, she feared for her life so much that she fled the country and continued her activism from Australia. Now, after confirmation that the Saudi regime killed the journalist Jamal Khashoggi here in Istanbul, Manal posted up on YouTube to explain why she's done with social media.
I decided to delete my Twitter account live on stage in a protest of how this tool that once saved my life is now being used to put my life and the life of a lot of human rights and activists in danger. I don't feel safe being on these accounts. Twitter is being controlled by trolls, pro-government mobs, and by bots. Those are being paid by pro-governments who wants to silence, intimidate, harass dissidents and anyone who speaks the truth. People joined Twitter and these platforms because they believed in these causes. They believed in things we called for. But if the same tools that we use for liberation once are being used to oppress us and used to undermine us and used to spread hate and fake news, I'll continue speaking up because tyrants and dictators are the ones who should be afraid, not us.
Okay, let's have a look at some of the other things that caught our eye on social media. Now, Lady Gaga and Bradley Cooper have been doing loads and loads of press interviews for their movie, A Star Is Born. Now, it's Gaga's first big acting gig, and she has loads and loads of praise for her co-star for believing in her, and the internet has noticed.
There can be 100 people in the room and 99 don't believe in you, but I had this one incredible talent with me. There can be 100 people in the room and 99 don't believe in you, and you just need one to believe in you, and that was him. So you can have 100 people in the room that are watching you and 99 don't believe in you, and one does, and that was him. So, you know, there could be 100 people in the room. You know, 100 people can be in a room. There can be 100 people in the room. There can be 100 people in the room. 100 people, and there can be in one room. 100 people in the room. There can be 100 people in a room. I probably said this earlier, but there can be 100 people or 1,000 people in the room, and 9,000 or 999 don't believe in you, and one does.
There can be 100 people. Oh no, sorry. Now, China is marching into the dystopian future with the social credit system, which was announced back in March and is slowly being phased in around the country. It's kind of like that episode of Black Mirror. People earn points for being a good citizen and lose points if they're not. Now, this video of the scheme in action on the rail network has been viewed more than 1 million times over the past few days.
Dear passengers, people who travel without tickets or behave disorderly or smoke in public areas will be punished according to regulations, and the behavior follow the relevant regulations and help with the orders on the train and at the station.
Now, the guy who took the video is a freelance journalist called James O'Malley. He followed up that video with this tweet. Ironic update, my tweet implicitly warning about the danger of a social system that values people based on an abstract score has done some good numbers and has increased my Twitter follower count, thus slightly increasing my social status on here. Touché. Now, if you look close, you'll see a guy struggling through foot-high water on a hand cycle. He's been competing in the Venice Marathon. Now, the city is famously beautiful and has a serious subsidence problem, so it probably isn't a shock that 3/4 of the place is now underwater because of a really high tide. Now, Italy has had loads of flooding recently due to exceptionally heavy rains for this time of year. Now, Halloween is tomorrow, which means there are lots of clever costumes being shared on social media. This is the Ikebukuro Halloween Cosplay Festival in Tokyo. One group went dressed as famous works of art. There you can see the girl with the pearl earring, the Mona Lisa, and the Scream, which is an apt one for Halloween. Now, they're all good, but not as good as this next one. Well, this little girl has dressed up as a headless child. Whoever made it is deserving of the title of Grandmaster. The internet is quite rightly loving it, and it's been liked and shared on Twitter hundreds of thousands of times already. Very good. Now, domestic violence, especially against women, is a huge problem around the world. Many countries are doing what they can to try and stop it, but in Russia, it looks as though they're doing the exact opposite. Akansha explains.
In February 2017, Russia adopted a law that decriminalized a first instance of battery among family members. What exactly is battery? It's the crime of threatening and physically hitting or attacking someone.
If a husband or a partner beats his wife for the first time or once during 1 year, it will no longer be considered a criminal offense. It will be considered an administrative offense along the lines of illegal parking or smoking where it's prohibited.
Lawmakers who argued in favor of the change say it was designed to uphold traditional family values by reducing the state's ability to meddle in family affairs.
For us, it is extremely important to save and protect family as an institution. The Russian Federation's legislation contains the principle of the presumption of parents' innocence. This principle is not shared by many Western countries. We believe that a parent who is first of all driven by good intentions towards a child aims for the best for his or her child. When reviewing parents, we have to assume that a person was driven by the best intentions.
But it seems what they failed to take into account was the many Russian women who are abused by their partners.
Experts who work on domestic violence interpret it as state giving a green light to abusers to beat their wives, an expression of how the state treats this issue as something that is not serious enough, something that is not significant enough.
The law only covers cases of battery. Any instances of domestic violence which result in significant injuries can still be prosecuted as assault. But Human Rights Watch says the law change has made it harder for everyone, including victims of serious domestic assault, to get justice.
So starting from negligent or hostile responses from police, who usually do not initiate criminal cases, refuse to investigate, to how judges try to force her to reconciliate with the husband to preserve the family.
Victims who want to take their cases to court have to provide their own evidence, are often not believed by the police, and even if they win, they still might lose.
We had some cases in shelters when women basically were chased by the state to pay this fine because her husband didn't want to pay it. The absurd of the situation is that actually state will chase a woman and force her to pay a fine for being battered.
According to a 2010 United Nations report, about 14,000 women in Russia are killed by a partner or a close family member every year. But there are no reliable domestic violence statistics. Since this law change was made, there's been a lot of public debate about domestic abuse in Russia, which may be the reason more women are choosing to come forward, despite a system that's stacked against them.
Okay, around the world now for some other stories you need to know this Tuesday. This is a memorial for Jamal Khashoggi held in London last night. He was the Saudi journalist killed here inside the Saudi consulate in Istanbul. His Turkish fiancée spoke at the memorial. Let's hear what she had to say.
I'm deeply grateful for the solidarity of people all over the world. I'm, however, disappointed in the actions of the leadership in many countries, particularly in the US. President Donald Trump should help reveal the truth and ensure justice be served. He shouldn't pave the way for a cover-up of my fiancé's murder. Let's not let money taint our conscience and compromise our values.
Oh, good one, humans. According to the World Wildlife Fund, we have caused 60% of animals on the Earth to be wiped out since 1970. Just an incredible amount. It's all our consumption and our overexploitation of the natural environment which has done it. And the best part, not only have we devastated the wildlife around us, our actions have also put our own civilization at risk. So, good one, humans.
For too long, we have taken nature for granted, culturally, economically, and politically. But this needs to stop now. There cannot be a healthy society or economy on a degraded planet. We can do this, but it is urgent, and the time to act is now.
And someone who didn't get the memo, China. They've just partially reversed a 25-year ban on the trade of rhino horn and tiger bone. Now, their new law allows for the endangered animals to be raised on Chinese farms. They can then be used for scientific, medical, or cultural use, so basically everything. Now, many medical experts, including some experts in Chinese medicine, say there are few, if any, medicinal properties found in rhino horn and tiger bone. A judge in Ecuador says that Julian Assange must pick up after his cat, keep his bathroom clean, do laundry, and pay for his food and internet use. The man who started WikiLeaks has been hiding out in the Ecuadorian embassy in London to escape extradition to the United States. Now, the new rules were imposed earlier this month, and Assange fought them, saying they violated his fundamental rights and freedoms and were intended to force him to leave. The judge in Lima said, "Nah, now go to your room." An imam in Turkey has created another reason to draw worshippers to the mosque, and this one appeals to local little ones.
Buradaki her çiçeği bir çocuğa zimmetledim. Şimdi mahalledeki çocuklar buraya gelirler. Hepsinin üzerinde isimleri yazılı. Buradaki çiçekleri sularlar. ...1995'te bir hobi olarak bende bu başladı. Camide çiçekleri yetiştirdikten sonra cemaatin de hoşuna gitti. Diyorlar hocam bunun bakımı nasıl? Zevk ile, aşk ile yapılırsa bir iş insana hiçbir zaman zor gelmiyor. Sabah namazından sonra ben bunlarla konuşurum. Ben bunlarla uğraşırım. Sevdiğim için bunlar da çiçeklerde gerçekten bir sevgiyi anlıyorlar.
And in today's Animals Doing Stuff, we have some baby meerkats from a zoo in Australia. Now, as expected, the people who put this video up from the Symbio Wildlife Park have anthropomorphized the little dudes, suggesting that they would be celebrating Halloween, which is obviously ludicrous. Meerkats are way too cool to celebrate Halloween.